everybody change parties? Yeah. No. I'm not talking for everybody, but I'm saying. I'm not talking for everybody. But everybody here loves Hillary Clinton, right? The Democrats are going to run for president. Ooh.
So yes, I was a Republican, and I changed my party affiliation right after Amendment 1 came out, because I thought Amendment 1 was despicable. And I think most people who know me know that I'm more of a Democrat maybe than most Democrats in the room, because for the last 10 years, where has the Democratic Christmas party been hosted? My house. Where has Kay Hagan's fundraisers been hosted? My house. I mean, you can go through everybody who's run for anything in the Democratic Party, and they have been through my living room at one point in the last 10 years. And it really struck me as kind of funny when I ran for at-large, and it was the first time the city council races started getting a little partisan, and the Republicans had come out with a list of candidates, and at that point I was unaffiliated, and the Democrats had come out with their list of candidates, and I wasn't on the list. And they came up with that list in my living room. So, I know. But really what got me was the Amendment 1 and the way that our legislature is going. I don't want to be associated with this Republican Party. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that both of you had a chance to respond, because we've been hearing the chatter, so we just wanted to make sure that you had a chance to respond. Trust me, we want good Democrats in our party, so we welcome you both. Sticking with the mayoral candidates, moving our attention to the Greensboro Randolph megasite. This is going to invoke eminent domain in northern Randolph County, and it has the potential to displace families in the hopes of attracting an advanced automobile manufacturer to potentially create jobs for Greensboro citizens. Now, besides the potential for displacement of families, there are some real concerns that the cost of this will far outweigh the benefits. Now, this passed City Council back in March by a vote of 7-2. Can you speak to the concerns that are being raised?
Yeah, why don't we let Sal speak first?
Okay.
Ladies first.
I'm actually gonna go to you since you spoke out in support of it.
Well, you know, actually, at this point, there is no reason to think there'll be eminent domain. There's 1,600 acres that are under contract, and it is under contract because the people want to be under contract. There has been no eminent domain that has been brought forward. What the city council did was we voted to look at an engineering and feasibility study to run water and sewer lines from Greensboro to the Randolph County megasite. And it is called the Greensboro Randolph megasite. And we would like to have an automobile manufacturer because North Carolina is the only state in the South that doesn't have one. And we know what it's done for places like Greenville and Birmingham, and that it will put our people to work at above average wages with great benefits. We'll be able to run buses down 421, so we'll be able to take cars off the road. And you know, we know that there's only a finite number of automobile manufacturers, so we don't have all our eggs in that basket. But we are looking at any kind of advanced manufacturer that will come, that will bring in excess of 2,000 jobs, and along the 421 corridor will bring supply chain suppliers, because that's really what makes the community, those small businesses, the supply chain. If the Greensboro Randolph megasite happens, it has the potential to really change the face of our community by bringing in a major supplier. Look what it's done for Greenville. Greenville seems to be the gold standard. Everybody says, look at Greenville, look at Birmingham. What do they all have in common? They have that great advanced manufacturer.
Two things are not going to happen. I'm not going to lose weight, and we're not going to bring an auto dealership here. We don't have the infrastructure. They're all going to one place because of NAFTA. Most of them are going to Mexico. Go home. Don't believe a word I say. Google it. You'll see how many manufacturers are in Mexico and Canada, but mostly Mexico. I'm talking manufacturers, secondary manufacturers, and third manufacturers in the business. They're not coming to North Carolina in droves. South Carolina landed one by luck. But if you look, the cost of labor is cheaper down there, less regulation. So if you think we're going to spend millions and get back millions, you might as well go outside and say a prayer. They ain't coming. Shh. They ain't coming, people. And I'm not being negative. We're going to spend millions on a project that's not going to bring jobs. We didn't get Boeing, remember them? They flew right on by. We couldn't even land the brewery, Stone Brewery. And I know they're going to rebuttal on that one, but they didn't want to come here. Why? We got a pay-to-play council. Or you tell me why they didn't come. Tell me. Stone Brewery said that they loved Greensboro. Why didn't they come? Boeing didn't want to come here. Why? We got the best. Very thankful. Maybe it has something to do with the indictments on that council. The Piedmont Triad, that subject that's being investigated. Oh. Things happen. You tell me. Well, we're not getting it. Go ahead, waste your money, and two things are going to happen. I'm going to gain weight, and they're all going to Mexico.
Okay.
Well, first of all, Boeing didn't go anywhere. Boeing didn't fly over Greensboro. They looked at 36 communities, and in the end, they decided to stay where they were. What Boeing did was they used looking at other communities as leverage with their unions. So they came to us. The one thing that the Boeing proposal did, it got us to really look at the airport and to see what we needed to do to get a really good aerospace company here in the future. HondaJet. While we didn't get Boeing, we are getting other things. And Stone Brewing, what they initially went out for was an East Coast distribution center. What they decided to go for was kind of a Northeast distribution center. So they told us when they decide to expand to the lower Southeast, we were top on their list.
30 seconds.
Well, I'm glad HondaJet came here. Well, let's talk about FedEx that's at the airport. They didn't deliver the jobs they were supposed to. Remember that? How many jobs do they have part-time? They didn't deliver. Right? Remember that? FedEx? Everybody remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't blame me for that. We got such a great place. How come they didn't come and deliver what they're supposed to deliver? It wasn't my fault. We gave too much or too little.
Being a consultant for the Queer People of Color Collective here in Greensboro, standing as an ally to the LGBTQIA community, I would first reach out to the executive director of that organization, being that she has both black and white allies all over this city. So first, we would reach out to them, make it known, just as Mayor Vaughn did. I do apologize. I would make it known throughout the community, just as she did on Facebook when this news hit the media, and then create those dialogues, which, being a creative center for leadership graduate, it is important to have those dialogues. And then as those dialogues continue, organize and get down there to Raleigh and let them know just how upset we are, in conjunction with endorsing candidates and voting for candidates that protect the interests of all individuals' rights.
Plain and simple for me is continuously work with my colleagues and fight for the LGBT community. But one of the biggest things is continue to go to Raleigh and talk to our legislators and make sure that they know that what our community would like to hear, like to see as it relates to the LGBT community. I've done that since I've been in office, and will continue to do that. And also reaching out to all the organizations that represent the LGBTQ community.
I believe that the bill that came up last night was focused directly at the city of Greensboro. And it was because of the stance that we took earlier this year in passing a very strong fair housing ordinance when it came to housing, employment, and public accommodations, and Raleigh didn't like it. And then the $15 an hour. So that bill, Ralph, you could give us your feelings, but I think that was targeted specifically at Greensboro and at Charlotte because of what Charlotte is proposed to do in the next couple of months. So, I am proud that we passed that legislation, and I think it was the right thing to do.
I supported the community, and when the community came to the city and said that we need to fight it, that's what we did, and I stood behind my community to do so. You know, and I told my community that with the injunction, we're going to continue to fight that because that's what the community wanted us to do. And when you look at it, anytime that, I don't care if it's Raleigh, I don't care if it's the county commissioners, and they take the people's voice away from them, we need to fight it. And we need to speak up for the folks in our community who want us to do that. Unlike some people, I'm not wishy-washy. I don't go to Raleigh and say that I'm for it and come home and say that I'm against it and then say I'm for it again. I went to Raleigh with my colleagues and fought it up there in Raleigh with a lot of people in this room and a lot of people that's not here because I believe in the community. And so, yes, I do believe in fighting this the lawsuit as aggressively as we can for the people of Greensboro and the 60,000 I represent in Northeast Greensboro.
As I stated prior to and everywhere I've gone, when I originally spoke before the Senate committee, I stated that the process was unjust, it was undemocratic, and I'm quoted in the News and Record as saying such. But at first, I saw where it would possibly give us more representation. That was how I perceived it. However, upon further study and learning that it would gerrymander our districts, listening to the voice of the community and learning that, and a side note here, it is important to be diplomatic in your community. If you're unsure and you're still weighing and learning something, then you must, one, acknowledge the facts, which I did. It seemed like it was good, but it was not because it gerrymandered our districts. And as a young Democrat, you must know how to listen, take in all viewpoints, and then weigh that and make a diplomatic statement. So therefore, when I went to speak before the Senate, I did state it was unjust and non-diplomatic, and that you should consider the voice of the community. I also stated that at the time of the 531, our African American demographics was 25%, and now it is at 43 to 47%, which leads me to believe that we needed more representation, but our community should be the ones that should determine that and not Raleigh.
Do you support, tell us first, where do you stand on this controversial bill? And then do you support using city funds to fight the bill and pursue an injunction? Let's start with you, Ms. Robinson.
When I was on council before, I was a part of the North Carolina League of Municipalities. I sat on their board. And starting as early in recent history, as 2008, our state legislators had started to try to roll back local authority. Okay, it started with annexation, and they weren't successful at first, but geared up and wound up by 2010 to stop annexation. So annexation is one of the key ways of us generating income, because when we annex, then that becomes property tax. The short answer is, I believe that local control should be local. All politics is local. As I explain to people, what the city council does and what the county commissioners do is going to impact on you first and faster than Raleigh or Washington. So how we govern ourselves. And see, Greensboro has a strange history. Greensboro has a strange history because we want to move forward and be progressive. We got 7 colleges and universities, but we still have that southern roots in us. And yet it took us, I don't know if you knew this, but Greensboro was the last major city or big city in North Carolina that went to district representation. I grew up in Winston-Salem. I grew up with ward system. And so when I came to Greensboro, and there was this large system, and then whenever we actually, I mean, it was almost like birth of the child. We had all kinds of connections going on. I mean, ads that said, save our city. From whom? The citizens who wanted representation. So, in my opinion, it's a good thing for us to determine for ourselves how we choose to be governed. As far as using city funds for it, we hire a city attorney who is supposed to litigate the interests of the city of Greensboro and its citizens. So that being done, that's policy. Now, the citizens have said they want us to do it. So then the citizens should accept that it's gonna cost.
Thank you. Councilwoman Harris.
Yes, I absolutely think Senate Bill 36 and House Bill 263 were some of the worst legislation you can ever see come out of government, period. That, in effect, is not government, first and foremost, so I thought it was horrible. And many of the citizens that I talked to thought it was horrible and continued to ask questions. They called me into neighborhood association meetings and said, Sharon, tell me why. Why are they doing this to you? What are you all doing that they don't like so well? And I said, we don't know, because why? They didn't bother to talk to us. They didn't bother to tell us if there was a complaint. They didn't bother to say to the city council, well, these people don't like what you're doing, or you're not business friendly, or this. This was done in the dark, and it was dirty. And yes, we spent city money because we were asked by the citizens to do so. I had many citizens call me and say, do you have a jar somewhere I can put a few dollars in to help you all? Because you look at the way this process was done. If the process was flawed, then you know the plan had to be flawed. It was not, now you talk about smoke and mirrors. Okay, you want to talk about smoke and mirrors. Okay, don't believe when they handed you that more representation, because that was not proven. That was a chance that you were going to take. And I think this council has 4 minority representatives. So it can be done. It can be done under the system that we are under right now. And we have been asked by the citizens to keep this system because they like it. They like the representative form of government that we have, and they don't want it changed. But if there's something wrong with this program, then let the citizens, let the community go to a referendum and say, or come and say, look, y'all, this is not working, and we don't like it. And so let them change. That's what democracy looks like. And this plan, Senate Bill 36 and HB 263, was not democracy.
Thank you.
Trust me.
Thank you very much. Okay, staying with District 1, a key element to improved employment prospects is access to jobs, and public transportation plays a vital role in this. And we do have public transportation in Greensboro, so how would you propose that we improve upon the public transportation that we already have in place? Start with you.
Well, one of the things I've been saying for 2 years to improve our transportation, we've got to change the way that the transportation moves throughout this city. If you want to go to work, you got to be on the bus 2 hours. You got to cut that. We've got to cut that out. You can no longer continue to get on a bus at the depot and then go somewhere and then need to transfer and go back to the depot to transfer out. It's a spoke system and it's not business friendly. If we want to promote the way people move throughout this city, we've got to hear what they say and adhere. And other people have said, well, I've had people come from Connecticut and New Jersey and Chicago, and they said, oh my God, this is some of the worst systems I've ever dealt with and ever seen, because it's not friendly to what people going to work. But what do people have? This is all they have right now. So I think that worst of all, we really need to get a feasibility study done to help us to look at a way to change our transportation system so that not only people who are going to work, they can go to other fairs, other events, they go to the grocery store. You can't even go to the grocery store. You can't put the 4 bags with you on a bus. So how much grocery are you going to be able to buy if you're trying to feed your family? So we've got to look at creating a little bit more friendlier bus system throughout the city. Of course, we need more riders and we need more money. So it all, kind of plays from one into the other. But we have an opportunity to get some more money, thanks to the most recent state budget legislation where they rose the driver's registration fees to $30. So we look at an opportunity to put in some more of that money in our coffers, and hopefully we can improve our system.
I actually fought hard for us to get the increase in the tax fee, because the additional money is specifically supposed to be used for mass transit. Do you realize that we have many people now who can actually come from as far as Chapel Hill, from their system that's so much hours, connect in Burlington, catch Park, connect in Greensboro, and if they work in Greensboro, then get GTA, or if they need to go to High Point, Winston-Salem, or even to Mount Airy. Part of what has to happen is we've got to get, as far as part is concerned, the other partners that we service, other counties, to put in money for this. When I was on council, I served on all three transportation committees. I served on the MPO, which was a committee that directed the funds that came from the state and federal. And so I was, keenly aware of making sure that dollars came to mass transit. I actually rode the bus when I was on council so that I could have a personal feel for what does it take. And out of that, I came back with a report to the council and said, our shelters are no good, the communication between bus drivers and riders it needs improvement, and then I also sat on the GTA board and this park board. So mass transit for me, but you understand, we live in the South, and we love our cars, big ones, okay? And we do not depend on mass transit in the same way as in the North. So we gotta also educate a mindset and give them a good product that they'll use.
I serve on the park board, and just yesterday, the park director called me and said, we're cutting out the route from Lexington to Greensboro because there's nobody on that route but 5 people. So it's not being productive. We've got to create a better transportation system. A few years ago, we had an opportunity to have a communication system for our transit that would tell people when the bus was late, would give you a text message, let you know. You could even create, one of those little things that goes around and says, well, the bus is running late here and there. So you could maybe arrange to get your child from the daycare. Council under Bill Knight sent the money back to federal government. You've got to understand the importance of transportation in this city. And we've got to continue to put that focus on it, and that's what we're working on.
30 seconds.
I was at Park today, and what I was told was that our park buses, we had 5 buses coming from Mount Airy, bringing people to work in Winston-Salem and in Greensboro. And because the county commissioners in Surrey County won't support it, they cut 2 of those buses. So that's gonna leave approximately 150 people with no way to get from, and the other thing that Park has done, it has also made Eden, Burlington, and Thomasville start their own little mass transit system. So mass transit is where we need to be going in the future.
Thank you. As mayor, what do you think the city's involvement should be, and how do you envision the museum in the future? I'm gonna start with you, Mr.
I
Lee.
always say ladies first.
Going with you this time.
All right, this is the fact, we got problems in this city. When we giving out checks and nobody signs them, and we lose a city attorney over it, we got problems not just with management, but with the entire city council. Somebody should have been knowing what's going on. I don't sit on the board, I think the mayor and city manager do, if I'm not mistaken. We got problems, but what does the city of Greensboro operate that makes money? We single out the museum, but the Coliseum loses $1 million+ every year.
Say that.
Amen. And they lose everything. What does Matt Brown do but lose money? He makes money, I'll give you that, more than the city manager, the highest paid. He's only making money for himself while the Coliseum's losing money. I know what they're gonna say, economic impact. We did a report. That report was sponsored, had flaws. I read it. Had flaws. There's no accurate numbers there, they have flaws. You're guessing. It's a crapshoot when you're guessing that big. There's a lot of money discrepancies. But what I'm saying is we help the museum. I want to get private dollars. That's the key to the success of the museum. The Children's Museum just got a $500,000 grant, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure did, Philip.
Not from us.
Not from the city, but we can go after that kind of money. That's what I want to do. I don't want to take it over. We don't need any more issues. We don't. We need to help it, fund, and be successful with private dollars. There's got to be a reason why they're not coming. I go to the zoo. The zoo has bank support. Why don't we? You ever been to the bank, the Wells Fargo section? When you get in there, we need corporate sponsorship. That's the key. That's where we're going to find success, people. We're giving them money to survive, not to thrive. We're giving them exactly what they need. And what's going to happen? All the negative media press the city's giving it, they're losing visitation. I've been there 23 times at the museum. That's how many times I've been there. I can even give a tour. If anybody likes. The problem.
Thank you. First, I want to make it fully clear, I support the museum. I think the museum is a very important landmark in our city, and I think it's something that we need to celebrate. It's something that the city of Greensboro did really well. We changed the future of the civil rights movement, not only here in the States, but internationally. So I made an offer maybe a year ago to come in and operate the museum, and which meant that we were willing to put our city dollars behind it. I never used the word takeover. Our intention was not to take over the museum, but with the backing of the city council, we wanted to make the museum financially stable. We were willing to put our money behind it. I didn't do it very well. I didn't get that message out very well. It was very clumsy. The offer was rejected, and that's okay. We'll find other ways to work with the museum. I agree that if corporate donors step up, that would be the best way to do it. The Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation stepped up and gave the museum $200,000 within the last 2 months. I think the museum can be successful. So we are dedicated as a city council to moving forward with the museum to help it be successful and to have a place downtown. I believe it needs to be in that Woolworths building. Others have talked about taking the counter out and putting it over in the historical museum. I don't think that is an option. I was very disappointed that the museum was closed during the folk festival. We had 30,000 people downtown on that Sunday. I watched people taking pictures outside of the Woolworth sign, peering in the window, talking about the museum and what it meant to them on a personal basis, and we were closed.
I read recently that Greensboro is the least sexy city in the United States. Now, I don't know if they've been in this room, but they have ranked that. They've also ranked it as one of the worst places to move if you are a young single professional. I used to care about that. I don't anymore. But kind of coming back to a question I asked the first panel about Greensboring. Do you believe that we are Greensboring? I hope you don't. How can we fight that perception? How can we get the message out that Greensboro is an exciting place to call home, and how do we make it even more exciting to call home? Let's start with you.
Well, I don't think Greensboro is boring, and I think Greensboro is kind of sexy. You know, just in the month of September, we had the Wyndham Tournament, which was shown in 220 countries around the world, and we had the Folk Festival. How many people here went to the Folk Festival? I mean, that, if you weren't there, you missed it. You need to go next year or the year after. It was the National Folk Festival. I call Greensboro a great cheap date. And by that, I mean, I wasn't talking about its virtue. I think Greensboro is a great place to raise a family and to be a single, because you can go places that are inexpensive. You can go to the ballpark. You can go to our great parks. When we finish the Greenway, there'll be places to walk with restaurants and ice cream shops. There are a variety of things you can do for all different price ranges. The LeBauer Park, which is going to be a phenomenal park downtown, is going to be a free park. And you know, one reason why we put so much money into downtown is because downtown doesn't belong to any particular district. It belongs to the entire city. We have over 18,000 people who work in downtown, in and out every day. I think that we have plenty of things to do in this city, and whoever is calling us Greensboring hasn't been here lately.
Mr. Lim.
For the second time tonight, I want to agree with the mayor. I have problems with these surveys because we don't know really how they're formed, made, the criteria behind them. I don't buy all that stuff. We do have a lot going on. We had the ACC tournament recently, and we'll get that back soon. We did have the folk festival. We do have the museums. We do have a lot of nice things going on. A lot of parks and recs and activities. I don't believe all those surveys. And the sexy one, that's kind of, I don't believe in that. You know, I just don't believe in surveys that we don't have criteria of where we get the information. I think we're moving fast. I think we're going good. We got a lot of things happening. And don't believe the hype sometimes. What you know, believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. And I don't believe those surveys.
All right. Thank you very much. So now let's go ahead and
Okay, so what did you think about the forum tonight?
I thought it was a great opportunity to get out and meet the voters. It was a good opportunity to get our message out and to answer questions from people about what was important to them.
I think it's really great that we had this event. It really lets people know, especially within the Democratic Party, the differences that we saw tonight that people have running. So it was really great, and I really hope that we can have more events like these. And it really draws attention to movements such as Black Lives Matter and food deserts that I think we really need to focus in on as a city.
The young Democrats are interested in doing it. I thought a lot of the questions were good. I also think that we have got to do a better job of educating people on what we have done. Because there are a lot of things they say, you didn't do this, and we did. Some things we didn't, but some things you did. So just a better overview of what we've done in some way to the people, I think and I'm going to push that.
Okay.
The forum offered a lot of different perspectives. It presented the city and, showing different kinds of leadership that people want to try to take the city forward. So I was very pleased. I thought the questions were fair, and the answers were very interesting. And I was really excited to be here and have an opportunity to share how I feel about my service since I've been on council, and that I want to continue serving because I really feel like we've made some significant strides in the last 2 years, and the potential's on the horizon to create a better Greensboro, and including doing great things for East Greensboro, because East Greensboro really is my heart and my passion. And for many years we've been neglected, but now we're on the horizon and things are starting to happen, and I want to continue to be a part of that.
Use the people. When we got less than half that come out for any election, we lost Kay Hagen's seat, right?
Right.
Less than half came out. We can't do nothing if the people don't vote. As of yesterday, less than 300 people voted in early voting. They know who's voting. They know where. They can even tell you what they have for lunch before.